Inverted illusions. Spooky month. Warning, the following content contains graphic adult themes such as gory actions, horrific assumptions, problematic situations, grotesque dialogue, and psychological trauma that we on Inverted Illusions do not condone. If you are sensitive to any of these events, then for your own mental health, please click off the video. We do care about your well-being no matter who you are. Viewer discretion is advised. Welcome everyone to my playthrough of Haunting Grounds, the first entry for our Spooky Month theme. I picked this game for a multitude of reasons, but namely it's because it is my favorite game, when we talk horror at least, and I felt it would be a good start for Spooky Month since it is very, very scary. I'm gonna give a big shout out to Carmi, the one who drew my avatar in the corner. You can find them at Jotro's Waifu on Twitter. You should go support her. She is a very nice and good content creator, and I highly recommend her. And I want to say that it's nice being back after a year. I'm sorry it's been a while since I've seen you guys, but we will be getting started shortly. I also want to say I hope everyone enjoys my new avatar, Vanna, and we will be getting into it. Reminder, there is a disclaimer at the beginning of this video for a reason. So remember, we are hitting heavy themes in this game. And that is us. We play as this heroine, Fiona Belli. Starting off with nothing but a bed sheet. This is done for story and plot reasons, but I will say that it's done very tastefully. Also, I just realized I'm kind of surprised he was chased off by just lightning. I mean, it's lightning. Not the best situation to wake up into, that's for sure. Yeah. I wouldn't know how to feel if I woke up into this situation myself. I will also say a quick reminder about the main character, Fiona. She is 18 in this game, but it needs to be taken into consideration when we look at the story and the context of what the message that the game is trying to convey when we talk about fear and what creates good horror. So I have to put out her age and state the situation in such a manner that it is more understandable, and it makes the themes a bit more, well, I guess, respectfully stated. Doggy. And this is why there's a disclaimer at the beginning of this game, because there are a lot of uncomfortable themes in this game for many reasons, mostly narrative, and I felt like it was good to have it stated, because otherwise it would be quite awkward. So obviously if you're underage, you probably shouldn't be watching this video, or you probably just didn't care. Well, we are obviously in just a bed sheet, and in this time I will talk a little bit about the game because I have experiences with it myself and others. So, Haunting Grounds is not a very commonly known title for a few reasons. A, because the game did not sell very well, and B, it did not have as many copies as one would think was made for it, so it has become one of the rarest video games that you can get on the market, and your girl was just smart enough at the early teens to pick up a copy. I had no idea that this game was going to be worth about $300-400 later on in its lifetime, and I obviously would not sell it for my life, but I wanted to mention that this game was also made by Capcom, you know, the people who made Resident Evil, which I said on my Twitter. So if people haven't heard of this game, I wouldn't be surprised. It didn't have as many copies and it did not sell well. But it is very well known in the market to like get a copy, but it's very difficult. Obviously, I'm playing on an emulator, and I will point out that there are some graphical glitches in this game because it's an emulator. When I talk about this, I'm talking about water and glass I've seen having issues. So if you see those graphical errors, please do not panic. It is because it is an emulator. My PS2 copy that I have does not have these issues, so it is not a game issue. It is an emulator issue. So I'm just saying that right now. If you see those, I'm sorry. It's an emulator issue. That's not creepy at all.
I've gathered some clothes for you. Wait, don't go. Excuse me, but where are we? And how did I get here? Yes, Master. We will keep her here for a while. I will make sure she stays comfortable.
Well, she's gone now. That, everyone, I will say, is Daniela, and I will say she is very eccentric. She is by no means normal. So, throughout the game, I'll point out that there is this thing called the comment section, where Fiona states her feelings in the situation, or any of these scripted events that we see video on. There, she has these feelings and comments, and I'll admit I played through most of the game originally on obviously a different emulator on the other computer, not remembering that Fiona makes comments throughout the game. But in hard mode of this game, instead of the comments coming from Fiona, they will come from another character later on, and I find that very fascinating because then you can see how both characters react to these situations. From the first situation that we saw her in with the cage at the beginning, she states, "Where am I? I was in a car with my parents, and it's no good. Everything seems so fuzzy." And with this last cutscene, she says, "I guess she's one of the maids working here. She's so beautiful, almost too beautiful. It seems unnatural." And I will say her observation is very much correct. Because we are in nothing but a bedsheet, it is a good idea that we get changed. There's a change of clothes that the maid apparently laid out. Yes, we should change. Anyone who says no is dumb. And this is again why the disclaimer was on before this video started, because of the uncomfortable situations. Like, for example, that we have a stalker here watching us dress. This, again, follows the theme of the game, and there is a reason for every little thing done. Capcom did this subject masterfully, and I am very thankful for tackling a different type of horror than your generic horror. And I will say, this type of horror really got to me when I was a young teenage girl, just like Fiona here, if not younger. So these themes hit me very, very hard.
Wait a minute. I remember being in the car with...
Fiona is obviously having some serious mental loss issues. She cannot remember every single thing that happened. That worked, but now what should I do? If I could find a map of this place, then I could just get my bearings. And now we have additional actions like kicking, throwing, crouch, and backstep. And there's pushing now, as well as a charge. So I'll say that this game, as I should have stated earlier, was known to be a spiritual successor of the Clock Tower series. So in that sense, it basically means that this game was not meant to be like Clock Tower 4 or whatever, but it follows a lot of the same themes as Clock Tower while tackling a different subject, but the gameplay is still similar to Clock Tower. And what I mean by that is we do not get any weapons of sorts in this game. You are, for the most part, more or less defenseless. And the combat of this game is reduced to throwing items, dropping items, kicking, and a charge. Most of this game, you're going to be hiding. The pursuers of this game, which show up in chapters just like Clock Tower 3, depend on varying scale. Some are more aggressive, some are a little bit more logical, some are more laid back, but this game is not known for its normal sense of horror. Like if I were to say Capcom's other games like Resident Evil, there's a different sense of horror here than that type of game. It's more or less about not so much resource management, but panic. And that also plays into the game's core mechanics and themes. Fiona does not have a life bar of sorts, like most horror games. She has this thing called a panic meter. But unlike Clock Tower 3 or the older games, it is not shown on the screen in a traditional sense. There is no bar. She shows panic by having the screen change colors and become inverted, and you hear heartbeats and her screaming. There's a big difference between this and a lot of other horror games, and I wanted to make that abundantly clear before we continue that it is shown very differently than most games, and I do appreciate and love that style and dedication. Something that I find kind of sad that the Clock Tower series ended the way it did. I just recently, I'm almost done with Clock Tower 3. I'm like at the last boss right now. I will say that I had a genuinely fun time with that game. And I'm not saying I never did with this one. On the contrary, I got very close to the end of this game too. But there might be points where I will have to apologize ahead of time, where I will have to look at a guide, because I do not remember every single thing that happens. So if I do that, I apologize if certain parts of the gameplay are cut or changed around for the convenience of you guys not sitting around and waiting for me to do something. So apologize ahead of time about that, but I've only played this game maybe once fully, almost completely through. I know certain spots better than others, like this first chapter I know very well, but other chapters like 3 or 4, not so well. So please be understanding and patient on these parts. Obviously, thank you for the time. And now, because now is a good time, I will say that we are in this place called Belli Castle. Belli Castle is the main location of this game, and our goal is to get Fiona out of this strange castle. It is a very simplistic plot in that sense, where our goal is to get out of here. But the story itself unravels throughout the game, obviously. I also will introduce my OC in the corner, Vanna the Cat. I've made her over maybe a series of a year, and I'm very thankful to every creator I've worked with to help me bring her to life. I remember purchasing her off of a specific artist and making my own gradual changes, because originally she was a hedgehog and now she is a yellow cat. So I've grown to change her a bit more and more to make her what I wanted for her, and she is a representation of myself, and each part of her is more or less showing who I am. So I won't be talking as Vanna, because Vanna is me, so I'm just gonna be myself. I hope everyone understands that, and I appreciate that. And this shows the panic meter. Is this blood? As you can see, there is a gradual change in the background, as well as the noise, as well as the pulsing. So that's what I mean by a health meter, and I hope everyone understands what I mean by that. I'm sure it's needless for me to continue on it, because it's pretty self-explanatory, fortunately. Everyone meet Debilitas, our very first stalker. He is obviously a very large man, and he is not all mentally there, fortunately for me in that case, because he is very dangerous, obviously, because he is fast moving for his size. Oh no, what should I do? If I don't do something, that thing will get me. And here we learn about evasion points and places to hide, which is another big part of the gameplay, because you can't fight back for the most part. I mean, you can, but it's not advised. Most of the time you want to hide and lose your pursuer, because they will become more and more aggressive and harder to deal with the more it goes on. I'll also state that with hiding points in this game, it doesn't matter the level of intelligence they have, they will find you. And I found after this scene when I was young that it scared the bejesus out of me. I don't know how many times I got to this point in the game and shut off the system, screaming in terror at such a young age, because this scene scared me so much. And it's not surprising a young teenage girl would be terrified of this, because, I mean, we're playing an 18-year-old girl. It's terrifying to have somebody that big chase after you for Lord knows what reasons, and you have no idea what their intent is. I'll also say, when the game says coast is clear, that is not true. Do not trust it. Never trust when it says coast is clear, because this is the perfect example. He's coming right back. He will rush into rooms. So with Debilitas, because like I said, you cannot use the same spot to hide more than maybe 2 times, because he will get smarter, which I do enjoy about the AI. It just makes it challenging. You want to switch up your hiding spots more often, and or find something simple to hide with, because he will be a challenge. Debilitas, oh my gosh, Debilitas, seriously? But, what was I gonna say? Sorry, he's distracting me because I can't believe he came back for a 3rd time. He's being very difficult with me today, at least on this playthrough. But, because Debilitas is a run and charge type of guy, you can hide behind doors and stuff and easily evade him over some of the simplest stuff, because, like I said, he's a run and charge type of guy. He's not thorough. So the best time to come out is when the ambiance music comes back, which I am waiting for, obviously, because he could come back at any moment, knowing Debilitas. He's already done it twice now. Okay, so the ambiance music's back. Now is a good time to come out. And what I like doing is shutting doors behind me, so there's an extra obstacle for them to overcome, because I don't want them catching me, obviously. Sometimes I also leave doors open because it's easier for me to go from one room or another. Because, I mean, if they're chasing me, I like having the doors open and not having that extra obstacle to come between. But if I'm hiding, I shut the door behind me. It just makes it a lot easier gameplay-wise, because then they have another obstacle to get past to get me. So, for a way to play, if you are going to play this game, I would highly suggest leaving doors open when you know you're going to be coming back through. And there is enough backtracking in this game, like any other Resident Evil game, that it's wise to leave the doors open. But if you're being chased, shut doors behind you, because this will give, again, maybe a few more minutes to seconds to get your bearings and make sure you're doing fine. So I highly suggest that. I will say, because we were talking about Capcom, because Capcom's the one who made Resident Evil, I have a huge fear of zombies. This is gonna sound silly because I'm an adult now, and obviously a fear of zombies is a little silly, but I'm terrified of zombies. I get nightmares over zombies. I used to think zombies are underneath my bed when I was younger. I am just terrified of zombies. So the first real jump scare in the original Resident Evil with the zombie doing the head turn, oh my gosh, that got me really bad as a kid. Oh my gosh, that got me off scary games for a long time. And so this game was my very first horror game I've ever played, because when I'm talking about like Resident Evil and stuff, or like Silent Hill, My dad used to have a big fascination with these games, and he played almost anything you could get your hands on. So, oh, I'll stop for a second because we're here and I want to read this dialogue. Is this a bird cage? It looks like a remaining husk of a bird is in the cage. And I will also say that this right here is a small nod to it being Capcom. So I will figure out my puzzle stuff here while I'm here because I know the codes. I've played this game that much, I'm sorry. Well, I'm gonna do something different because normally we're supposed to put the word emeth. But I found out if you get rid of the E in it, I will get a little extra goodie that will help me throughout the game. So I will be doing that. I'll also make a copy of something important later while we're here. But yeah, as I said, my dad, he's played a lot of video games, and me only having one parent, I tended to watch my dad play games all the time, and he'd play Resident Evil and things that I could not bear to play because I was so scared. I used to be a big fraidy cat when I was younger, and so as an adult, I've been trying to tackle these games more and more and open up myself to become a better person, become stronger emotionally and physically, to where I can challenge myself with these games. And recently I've come back to appreciate these games and love them dearly because it's important to me. I mean, it's my roots. A huge doll of earth blocks the door. There's a slot-shaped hole in its chest. So, because the theme of this game is alchemy, using the word plate meth will break this down. Normally in the cutscene, if you put emeth, the golem will walk to the side and move out the way. But in this case, I wanted meth because I get an item from this that I can use throughout the game to help me out. And this is the first time I've gotten this item. I've never used it in any of my other playthroughs. This is a choker composed for a long slice of durable obsidian. It reduces the strength of the Azoth odor emitting from Fiona. Players can more easily escape from being detected by luminescence. So I will bring up in this game, there are a number of pursuers in this game, but no other real, I guess, enemies. There are technically some enemies, but they're not enemies in a traditional sense. What they said about luminescence is true. Luminescence are basically these little balls of light that will come after Fiona and summon the pursuer. For this chapter, the pursuer is Debilitas. So if I, for example, get hit by the ball of light, it will make Fiona begin to panic. And if she begins to panic hard enough, she will scream. And that will call Debilitas to my location. And it will not be pretty. Because, again, he is a big guy. And as we saw in the cutscene, he has traded out his doll for us. I don't even know if I picked up the doll. Yes, I did. And I can use the doll to distract him, and I can use these other things like the magnesia, which I drop on the ground for him to run over, and that will damage him and distract him for a minute. Or I can throw powder balls, which explodes on impact and stops him for a period of time, but these are all very weak. So it is not advised to do combat with said pursuer, especially this one, because he is so large and has a high life bar. It's not a wise idea. It's better suggested to just hide or run away from him. But it also just really depends on the pursuer. This chamomile, this will help my fear and calm me down pretty much almost instantaneously. There's a key here. Lovely piano music.
Ah, Fiona. I see you finally awakened. There's something that I've wanted to show you for quite some time. Pull away that sheet behind you. That, my dear, is what you will become in the future. Go ahead. You may touch it. You will be mine, Fiona.
And this is again why we had the rating. What is this thing? It's really giving me the creeps. Why would anyone in their right mind put something like this in here? He's not right. I'm sorry, Fiona. That is the other reason why we need to get out of here. The inhabitants of this place, we will slowly find out, are not all stable. And the best course of action is to get out of this place. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is what we call luminescent. There's only one way to actually deal with them. And the way to do it is to go through a door and shut the door behind you. Because they can't go through doors. Obviously, during this moment, the background music disappears. Like any other pursuer. Except the difference is, with a pursuer, they have a theme. Luminescence, it just makes the area go quiet. So, with that in mind, we have reached our second checkpoint, and time has gotten to the point where we need to stop for now. I want to say a big thank you to everyone that has joined me today, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. I will begin another playthrough very soon of continuing this, obviously, and with my other games, we will see as time is permitted and how I am feeling. I want to again say thank you, like I said, for watching and listening, and I appreciate everyone being so welcoming to me again, since it's been over a year since I recorded last. So thank you very much, and I will see you all next time. Bye! If you enjoyed that, then make sure you're subbed with notifications turned on to know when the next video goes live. And don't be afraid to leave a comment below to let us know what you thought of the video, suggestions you may have, or even just to say hello. We read every word you left for us. As always, we greatly appreciate your support. Check out our links in the description. Have a great day, and we'll chat more later. Bye!